All right, this is very exciting. Let's bring in our guest. He's the play-by-play voice for the NBA on TNT, NFL on CBS, and Monday Night Football on Westwood One. He's the Bo Jackson of broadcasting. Let's face it, National Sportscaster of the Year. I have no idea why he's here, but I'm glad. Kevin Harlan, thanks for joining us.
Great to be on. Thank you very much. I'm honored to visit with you, and I've read a lot about you. I've heard a lot about you, and I'm glad we're meeting even like this.
Well, we are honored because your voice, and I really do mean the best actual voice in all of sport. I'm curious, did you develop the play-by-play voice you have now, or did you hit puberty and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I got to do something with this in sports? How did it work out?
No, it just kind of happened. A lot of trial and error. And this is not the voice I thought I'd have. This is not the voice that I dreamt of having when I was a kid wanting to be a broadcaster. I always envisioned the voice of Ray Scott or Pat Summerall or Jim Simpson, something like that. And the voice you have is the voice you have. So that's what I've had to work with. But I do feel very fortunate in the business that it's worked out the way it has, certainly. And but there's always moments of pause when you go back and watch your work and think that, I can tighten the screws a little bit, which I do all the time. And always a challenge to get better. And I continue to have that philosophy, even at the stage I am right now in my career.
Well, I'll tell you what, you talk about the challenges, and here's a challenge that you didn't put on yourself, but the NBA, I mean, I feel you earned your money this postseason because let's be honest, these games have not been good, and you did a great job, as always, making them seem important. Does it bother you? Do you have to kick it into another gear when you're all of a sudden calling a 25-point game in the second quarter?
It really doesn't, because I think you shift the direction that you want the conversation to go. Sal, you more or less are talking about wide-ranging stories. You widen the lens a little bit. You got to keep people around. Maybe talk to a Reggie Miller or Stan Van Gundy or whoever I'm working with on that particular broadcast, about philosophy, about a player and performance or whatever. I think there's always enough the areas you can go into, many topics you can explore, and the people I work with at least never have a shortage of comments and opinions, and that's always good. Less play-by-play, more of them. And then as the game is still going on and maybe a 25 or 30-point blowout, you're filling in the cracks. Yeah, third foul on that guy, or now he's up to 27 points or whatever it might be. But no, it's more podcast or talk show oriented, I think, at that stage, certainly.
Yeah, and you do a great job. Do you have a list of these backup stories ahead of time? Do you work it out with the crew? Like, all right, listen, if this becomes a blowout, maybe we go into this, or you just kind of wing it?
It just happens. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, I personally will have some areas I want to look into. And a great example of this is Luka Doncic, who is a ball-heavy guard who dominates that ball and possession, and certainly has enough assists, but he's a ball-dominant player. And I've asked Reggie in one of the games we had, how would you like playing with a guy like that? What does that do to the other four guys on the floor? And then ask Stan Van Gundy or whoever I'm working with, preferably a coach, what is it like to coach a guy like that? What are the challenges and what are the benefits? So there are many things, you lose yourself in the broadcast, you lose yourself in the game. You're thinking about how the statistics are leaning one way or the other, trends in the game. You've done the preparation, certainly on the individual players and styles and where they sit within the framework of the playoffs. And so just naturally things kind of come up. They may see a comment that'll spark something in my mind. And I always think of my wife, who we've been married for 35 years. And the only thing she ever comments on are things like, hey, I like when you guys were talking about, coming back from an injury, or I like when you were asking Reggie on his game day routine, what was that like? And so I always think about what would interest my wife, right, sports fan, but knows the business and knows what I talk about. And I always think, what would she like to know right about now? What might be on her mind? And so I kind of channel her inner thoughts sometimes on our broadcast.
What a good lady. And that is so important. As I was gritting my teeth last night when I heard my wife recap our 8-year-old son's baseball game, and was excited to say that We won 11-12 by 1 point, and I really just wanted to jump out the window. But that's good. It is very important. I do say, with some of this stuff, were you like hoping for like a protester? Is a protester moment nervous for you? I know you've called streakers and stuff like that. You've made the most of it. You made it an even more fun situation than it is. But did you call any of those protesting? I'm trying to figure it out. Were you on?
Yeah, we had the animal rights person that glued her wrist to the floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a couple that have come out and stormed the floor, and certainly in football that happens, seems with more regularity. But the problem now, and the animal rights person actually is a pretty good one to bring up, because like they're gluing them, like we were working with Allie LaForce, and we thought it was an arena worker who was wiping up moisture on the floor after some play, right? And then they go to the other end of the floor, and she's still over there. And I thought maybe she had fainted or had a medical issue, right? So you're going like, what the hell is going on over there? And then you find out, she's glued herself on the floor. It's like you can't make this stuff, like glued herself on the floor. Like what? But then I held my tongue, because I'm thinking, all right, so there's got to be something more at play. You just don't glue yourself on a basketball floor, right? So sure enough, she had a cause that she wanted to highlight, and that was animal rights, animal protection. The former owner of the Timberwolves have been involved and I don't know the details. So this is not official or not. Please don't hold me to this. But like, I guess he runs a chicken farm in Iowa, and they had to dispose of like 5 million birds because there was a flu, incredibly contagious, that would endanger not just the chickens in that coop, but who knows where. So anyway, there was a purpose there, and you're always going to offend somebody somewhere, somehow, right, if you kind of go off the tracks, right? And so she cleared it up. Our reporter, Allie LaForce, cleared it up pretty quickly, and we were able to move on, and we didn't say anything. I did come up with some kind of smart ass line though, and I forget what it was now. I'll think, and I kind of slipped it in quickly. If you're going to like little Uzi Vert promo or something like that.
We actually
some show.
We actually interviewed her. She was a very nice woman, and she took exception with the fact that you didn't come to her defense. She was very upset. No, she didn't. She didn't say anything like that.
Yeah. I know what it was. I know what I was going to say. We say, and of course, we've had a stoppage in play. A woman literally came unglued here at the game, and now we go to the concert coming up on TNT.
Perfect.
So it was stupid.
I hesitate to say this because this creates problems for you. But if someone really wants to make a statement, a protest statement, they could literally make a statement by joining you behind the mic for 5 seconds, whatever. Right? Do you? Forget it. We're going to cut that out because I don't want that in people's minds. That's bad.
All right. Okay.
They don't need to.
Well, we do travel. We do travel now with security. Our security, in fact, was. I've been at Turner since 1996.
Yeah.
And we've always had, when I work with Charles or work with Shaq or we do or whoever, namely Charles. We always had his personal guy that was with us. Right. But just recently in the last couple months, they've traveled at least 2 people with us, getting us from the hotel to the van, from the van to the arena. And then they sit in back of us during the game. So I think there is some concern there. Maybe they've got some intel that would tell them that, there's something being planned. I don't know.
Yeah, because if a woman or man glues themselves to Kevin Harlan for 2 hours, then you got to call the game with them, right? I don't know if there's any anything in place to prevent that.
Let me ask you. Colorful.
Yeah, that's right. What's the most frustrating thing about calling names right now? Is it officials not knowing what the catch is? Is it flopping, instant replays, delaying everything? What's your pet peeve?
Well, the flopping is I think I have noticed more this year than ever before in the NBA. And maybe because it's the constant soccer that is being shown in this country, UEFA and all this stuff overseas. When those guys go down in soccer, it's like they've been shot and they're looking for immediate medical help, right?
Right.
And now that's how it is in the NBA. Unfortunately, guys are getting hit up around the throat, around the chin, on the jaw, on the temple, and they quickly go down as if they've taken a bullet in the gut, right? Like, and it's like, oh my God, like what has happened? And then like Marcus Smart, and not to diminish their injuries, but a couple of playoff games ago, Marcus Smart and Tatum both went down, and you would have thought like they've had the injury, you know, they've broken a leg or they've dislocated a hip or they've, you know, unhinged an elbow or a shoulder. Like, oh my God, like what has happened? And then 5 minutes later, they're back out there jumping around and shooting the ball and rebounding and passing and running. So like, you don't know now what to say. And the other thing in the NBA, because of the number of people you can have on the floor, is a guy goes down and everybody just kind of looks at him. Like in the NFL, somebody goes down, man, they've got 15 people from that sideline racing across the field to go attend to the down player. In the NBA, the guy's down for like 2 minutes and he's
yeah,
I look at him.
And it's tough for you because again, you don't want to piss anyone off. And like, so if Marcus Smart took 4 flops in a row, but then he's hurt on the 5th one, you don't want to be like, oh, come on already. And, or if Anthony Davis, I imagine, who's on the court, I don't know, what's he down 27, 28 times a game? You don't want to diminish what's going on.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. No, you can't do that because there could be, you know, when Hayward went down, you know, in Cleveland on that opener a couple years ago for the Celtics, we were courtside and it was 5 minutes or whatever it was into the game. And he went down and I heard the snap of the bone. And when I heard it, I looked and saw the disc, you know, the foot, which was going, you know, north when it should have been going south.
Right.
And I said, oh my God, he's broken his leg. Gordon Hayward is down. He's just broken his leg. Yet our cameras are at the other end, right? And then they stopped play because they could see it was serious. And I got criticized because I said, listen, I've done a lot of, there's a difference between a dislocation and a completely, you know, a compound fracture. And this was clearly a compound fracture. And anyway, so yeah, no, you've got to be careful. And you see it on the highlight and a guy will take something, you know, but now we're getting like phantom elbows to the jaw,
right,
which is immediate, you know, flagrant one. And we see that there's this much separation between the elbow and the jaw. And there's like, there was no touching. And so it's tough. It's hard on these officials who are as trained and as, you know, I mean, they're on it. They really are. They are on it. And I respect them all. And if we were all judged on the way that officials in the NFL and the NBA are judged on a call by call, play by play, game by game basis, we would all be, you know, spotless on the air.
Oh yeah.
These guys go through a lot, so it's very difficult and frustrating because there are a lot of stoppages for just that very reason.
Yeah, and we've talked about this for the last few weeks. Like in football, if there's no holding calls the whole game, most fans are happy, right? Depending on if it's not egregious and replays. But you have to, in basketball, call between 40 and 60 fouls. You just have to. Yes. That's just the nature of the game. And so of those 40 to 60, there's going to be 5 to 10 or maybe all of them are going to be heavily looked into. And everybody thinks their team was screwed.
Exactly. You know, constantly. I see that. I get that. I you know, as a broadcaster, we don't know the rules as well as the officials, but we know the rules clearly. That's part of our job. But I have found it's a fool's errand to try to go in there and dig on a call when it could be, you know, a completely different interpretation that I'm not, because they've got the 2 officials looking at the replay. They've got like 10 guys back in Secaucus at the command center looking at it. Like, who am I to sit there and try to guess when 12 people are analyzing that play in super slow-mo and they're going over it and over it and over it, looking at intent and run up and configuration. Like I'm not going to, same in football too. I'm not going to get there. We got a rules analyst in Gene Steratore or we've got somebody back in Secaucus that'll put on the headset. Let them explain it. My job is not to sit there and explain the rules. We show it. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, I don't need to say anything.
Yeah.
We can say it would look like, or it appears to be, but let's let the professionals go over it and figure it out.
Exactly. And have you ever been to Secaucus? No one wants to be there. So you got an angry guy in a headset.
I have been there actually. Yeah. It's as big and as ominous as it looks. There are hundreds of screens and many people on headsets, and it's a pretty slick operation, like the NFL command center is too.
Wow. Yeah. I would love to walk through that. Give us your NBA finals prediction and a winner and an MVP winner, if you could.
This could go either way so quickly. The defense of the Celtics could take a hold of the series and really screw up the rhythm and the pacing and the beautiful fluid cutting and everything spacing that the Warriors do. Or the Warriors may just prove to have so many tricks up their sleeve with all their incredible finals experience and leadership that they may run circles around the Celtics. I don't think that's going to happen. I just finished doing the Golden State series against Dallas. I did them in a couple games against Denver. They look to be right now running on every single cylinder they've got, and maybe then some. They've got it figured out. They're getting back Gary Payton II, by the way. So if you're looking for more grit, he'll give that. He's like a Draymond Green Jr. He's .2. He's smaller version, but right up there. He was causing John Morant fits when he went against him in the Memphis series. Right. I don't care who he'll probably see a little bit of Smart and everybody else at some time. Right now, we're seeing guys that are 6'3" going against guys that are 6'8", like the configuration of defenses against offensive size or vice versa is out the door. It doesn't even pertain anymore. It's just it's positionless, and that's going to make this, I think, very tough to call as we start tonight.
Yeah, you brought up Gary Payton Jr. By the way, you accused him of flopping, and he was out like 3 weeks as a result. But you didn't think that was a real injury?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't doing that. That I think was an ESPN game. But
okay.
But by the way, he came out, I think, and shot a free throw, didn't he? I think he came out.
Yes,
he did.
I think he shot a free throw.
He did.
Who knows? Who knows? Right?
He sure did. We have our friend Harry here. He's a big fan of yours. He wants to ask you a question. Now, Harry famously had an internship at CNN Sports for broadcasting, but instead, this is right after college, instead of going to Atlanta, he kept driving west and landed in Las Vegas and went on to become a degenerate gambler. First of all, by looking at him, do you think he made the right call there?
I think Harry is right on target.
Thanks, Thank you, Kev.
Well, here's his question first. Then
tremendous fan of yours. Kev, you've done so many things. I'm just curious, what call are you most impressed with over the years? Now, was it in 2019, the last week of the regular season in the NFL, when you called 2 games at once? You were in Kansas City. You called the Kansas City Charger game. Chiefs had won, so that put them in the 2nd seed instead of the 3rd seed if the Patriots lost to the Dolphins, which they did. So you called that, which was tremendous at the same time at the end of the game. But Sal mentioned streakers too. You have given great play-by-play for the Monday Night Football game between the Rams and the Niners, and also the Super Bowl 55 between Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Which one are you more proud of? And by the way, I was driving. I remember the Monday night game. I was driving home. You were doing the game on radio with Kurt Warner. It was fantastic. I've never really had an announcer make me die laughing, and you did that night. It was fantastic.
There you go.
You're sure nice.
Kevin, I think there was a question in there somewhere.
What are you more proud of? The 2-for-1 game or the streaker?
Well, none of them, quite frankly. To be known for drunks or animals on the field probably isn't the best thing. But Harry, I appreciate your that you're kind to bring those. I've enjoyed them, and I'm glad other people have taken them in the light in which they were delivered. And
that Rams Niners, Kurt Warner even gave you props during it. He said he couldn't believe how great that was. That was fantastic, really was.
Well, you're nice to mention it. First of all, I'd like to think that my best call, the one I'd be most personally proud of, is still a Super Bowl illustrated call. That one of the top 5 all-time Super Bowl calls, and I was very happy about that. 2 games at once worked well, and the timing was, had to be perfect, right? A play was happening at Arrowhead, a play was happening in Foxborough, and a play in Arrowhead, and a play in Foxborough. Like, it was just like, the rhythm of that sequence worked out great. And then, people in the stands in Kansas City, which really kind of tied together. And then there was a delay. So when we were calling it and the players were realizing it, then the fans were knowing it because they're watching our telecast on their phones. And then our director captured that moment. So like it was all, just timing that made that work. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I appreciate your kind words. Thank you, Harry.
Kevin, I mean, there have been so many great calls. I want to give you the opportunity to top yourself. And if you would do this for us, Harry, I don't know if you could find it in you. Can you take your shirt off and dribble a basketball around and have Kevin Harlan make the call for about 10 seconds? Could you do this?
Yeah, of course.
I know you'll do it. Will Kevin do it?
I'd be honored if Kevin would. I'd be honored if Kevin would do it.
Okay, you'd be honored. Kevin will be disgusted, but let's see if we can get through this. Go ahead, Harry. Show him what you got.
I can't believe this is happening.
I see Harry, who's got a great handle, weaving through traffic and takes it in. Yeah, there's a stray jiggle of a body part here and a body part there, but look at him drive and put it up and in for 2.
What a professional. Kevin Harlan, thank you.
Oh, I just got a glimpse.
There it is. You have any regrets? Well, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate you coming on. I don't know what you do in the off season. Oh, you're doing NBA 2K, right? You're voicing that. And all right, Kevin, I think you're breaking up a little, but thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Awesome. Kevin Harlan, everyone. Wow, that was terrific.
That was awesome. Thanks, Kev.
That was really something else.
Thanks, Kev.
Very much. Thank you.